What we're working on today, we've got our chute here for working cattle, and it had a floor in it originally. This part is homemade. The catch part is factory made, but we didn't make this, but somebody did. Anyway, the floor, the boards are all gone in it, so we're going to put a new floor in here. I've got some green treated 2x6s that I salvaged around here, so we're going to cut them and get them put in. I was going to work some cattle today, but it's getting a little bit later now, so we'll at least get this done, so this will be ready anyway. We might get some through there yet, but so anyway, that's what we're doing now. Jordan, he's cleaning all the manure out of the corners there so the boards can go in. Then I got to show off my new toy I got yesterday. I bought a skill saw, brand new skill saw last year. Not an expensive one. I don't usually use them a lot, but I used it in the barn when we were cutting them calf pens apart, working on that manure line, and I don't know where it went. I have a feeling that it might be under that dirt pile, because I haven't gotten that dirt pile all shoveled back in there yet, because we dug that with that little mini backhoe. And I wasn't back there when they started digging, so I don't know if it was sitting there and it got covered, or I don't know. Now that I bought a new one, I'll probably find it. But anyway, we picked up instead of buying another corded one, we picked up a DeWalt 20 volt cordless one. I always kind of liked the idea. I was thinking about getting a cordless one anyway. I figured, well, this would be a good time. One thing with this, I was initially going to buy just the saw because we got batteries. We got like 3 batteries. So anyway, Jen went up to the store where we got this. I think the saw, just the saw, no batteries or anything, was like $150, whatever. She thought, well, maybe we should get a spare battery, just so we've got an extra. And that battery was like $130. So anyway, they had the whole kit, saw, battery, and a charger for I think $250. I don't know the exact math, but anyway, this was like, it was like $50 cheaper to get the whole kit than to buy a saw and a battery. So anyway, we got the whole kit, so we're going to try that out today too. And my brother Paul here, he's got a sweet new addition to the garage we're going to hang up in here. For all you John Deere fanatics out there, get a kick out of this.
Maybe we should hang it at the peak of the garage.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Right up in the middle there. I got to get this garage painted too. It's starting to siding. That masonite siding is not very good anyway, but maybe that's where we'll hang it. Either that or, well, I'd put it on the peak of the barn, but I ain't going up there. That was here. This saw is cutting really nice. I definitely like it. It's handy. It's got the brake on it too, so it doesn't, when you let off the trigger, it stops. So anyway, we're gonna go, Jen's got some lunch ready. We'll get some lunch and we'll come back and finish putting that floor in. All right, everybody, it's Wednesday, March 24th. It's a little cooler, a little rainier out today, but that's all right. We've actually been kind of a nice rain, so slow soaking rain, which is nice. But anyway, yesterday I went and picked up that governor body from the machine shop. I didn't get any video when I was there because he had a heater running and stuff in his shop. It was pretty loud, and he was all done machining. We just had to press in the bushing, so I'll see if I can show you kind of here how this turned out. I think it turned out really nice. First, what we did, or what he did, is he made a new, this is the lever that went through there. And this shaft, the old one had been at one time welded up, built back up, and it was kind of bent, I think, from when they heated it, welding it. So he pressed it out and made a whole new shaft for that. So got that done, so that's all been replaced. The lever part is the same, but the pin here has been all brand new. And then in the housing here, if you can see in there, he machined out the casting and then put in a bronze bushing in there, so that fits tight now. I do have the old felt seal that was in there. I'm gonna see if I can get a new seal for it just at the parts store. If not, I'll put that one back in. But we'll slide that in here now and really tighten it up a lot. And I don't think, somebody had mentioned that Steiner's or someplace could get a kit for these to rebuild them, but all the ones that I could find were just to rebuild the lower shaft in the governor, not the upper one. And I think that's because those have replaceable bearings and bushings, and this shaft, there was no bushing. It was just cast. So when that wears out, it has to be machined. So I think that's why, I don't think they make a kit for that. But we'll show here. I'm just going to slide this through. So that's nice and tight now, it doesn't move. Moves nice like that. But if you've seen in the older video when I took that apart, that was really worn out. And I think that's pretty common. The outside of the hole where the lever is wasn't worn badly, but the inside was really egg-shaped. And I think that's because you have a spring in there that's pulling on that all the time, so you've always got the pressure on there. So if anybody's out there that's got one that wants it rebuilt, you know, if you're not extremely far away or whatever, he told me out there, you know, now that he hadn't done one of these before, so now that he's done this one, he knows how to set them up. And like I said, we'll get it together and see how everything lines up, but it looks like it should work good. So but anyway, it obviously can be done. I'm sure there's probably some of you out there that have had it done, but I know when I tried to find a housing, I went down to the salvage yard down there. I must have went through 20 of them, and every one of them was just as bad as this one or worse. So, but anyway, we'll get that back together. I don't know if I'm going to today, but I'm going to also order a new thrust bearing for that governor, and probably get a gasket for it too. I was going to keep the old one in there, but I got looking at it. None of the ball bearings are missing, but it is looking pretty rough, so to get that ordered. But I'm going to go in here now. I'm going to leave the cows in, I think, for today because it's kind of nasty out, so I'm going to give them some hay now and go get some lunch. It's Thursday, March 25th today. It's actually pretty nice out now. It's a little cool, but the sun popped out now this afternoon. It's supposed to be kind of a weather roller coaster, I think. 30s and 40s, and then there's some 60s and a little rain here and there, but that's all right. That's springtime. Right now what I'm going to do, one of our viewers asked if I would kind of go over our corn planter a little bit. We have a John Deere 7000 corn planter, 4-row, 30-inch spacings. and they just bought a 7000, and they're used to the international cyclo planters, I believe they said, which I've never used. I've heard they're a good planter, but I have no experience with them, so I'm not going to compare them, but I just going to kind of go over this one, things we like, don't like, whatever. It has been a good planter, I'll say that. We've had it for probably 5 years now. We had a John Deere 1250 prior to this, a 6-row. That was a finger pickup also. That one was a little more complicated than this, but anyway, we'll kind of go over it a little bit. Okay, like I said, it's a 4-row. One of the insecticide boxes on the back is missing. When that machine shed caved in, it got busted, but around here, I guess we don't use those anyway. So we use the dry fertilizer. That's there's just an auger that runs through the bottom that meters it out. And then if it's liquid, I don't exactly know how those work because we've never used the liquid here. And then the seed metering, they're nice. They're a finger pickup, and they have a thing on each row here where you can go along. You can pull this back and disengage whatever row you want. Like say you're going to go back, you missed a couple rows or something, you just want to plant the middle 2, you can disengage the outside 2 or whatever. And then also what that's for, you pull that back, and then back here, I guess it was unlocked anyway, but there's just a snap lock. You can pop that off. So you can disengage it, you pop that latch in the back, you tip this up, and your seed box is off. One thing that is nice for, I have a neighbor that I plant some sweet corn for in the summer, usually after we're done with our field corn. So if there's any seed left in here, I can pop this off, open the lid. I can dump out pretty much everything that's in here, dump in his sweet corn, go ahead and plant. So that's nice. It's quick to change seeds, and also to work on. Actually, when we bought this planter, we didn't really know anything about these. There's a kind of a stainless plate here. And anyway, when we got this, we tried turning these and they wouldn't turn. So I pulled this cover off. You can pull, let's see here, there's these bolts on the outside here. You pull these off and there's a seed belt in here. Kind of looks like this. I've got the old ones in the garage. I'm just keeping around for spares because they didn't look bad. One of the things I was told was kind of keep an eye on these. They weren't that expensive, I don't think, but it's kind of a good idea to, especially if you're planting a lot, to change them occasionally because they kind of help control your seed spacing. So that was one thing. I did change them. The other ones weren't cracked or anything, so I kept them for spares. But anyway, so I pulled that off. Now, I don't remember exactly, but it's pretty simple once you get in there. But then, anyway, inside here, this cover would come off, this black cover. And then the seed on the other side of this is plastic. Yeah, that's how it was. So this cover comes off here for your seed belt. You can change that or do what you need to there. Now here, you got 2 bolts, one here, one here. This whole seed unit will pop right off. And then you've got, I think there's 3 bolts here. You can pull this plastic piece off, and your finger pickup is inside of here. Now what happened was there was moisture that had gotten in here, and the seed that was left in the bottom was kind of rotten, and this plate was all rusted inside. So I went and bought new plates. They were actually pretty cheap too. We had replaced them on our old planter, and they were really expensive for that planter. So I was like, oh, what's this going to cost? You know, but I think I got all 4 for this planter for what one of them other ones was. So they weren't bad. And then the finger pickup, once you get in there, it's pretty self-explanatory how those work. There's just a kind of a drum with a bunch of little fingers on a cam, and they're spring loaded. They just go around and they grab the seeds. Probably a good idea to maybe pop this apart and just check them, make sure your Springs, sometimes you'll get a broken spring or something like that. But the only thing with that is if you take that apart, because those fingers, they're sitting like a plastic cone. And there's a gauge in the book. There's a little metal gauge that you're supposed to have, kind of like a little torque wrench for them when you tighten that back down so they have the right tension on them. I don't know. I kind of just did it by feel, kind of looking at how they grabbed. But you could either take them into John Deere or maybe even probably get that little tool from John Deere. But anyway, it was really simple to get at. Like I said, you pull these off. You can swap that belt out. 2 bolts here. The whole seed meter comes off. You can pull this off, clean it out. And actually, I think, if I remember right, if you pull this off and dump the seed out, you can see down in there pretty good. Because what it does, those fingers go around, and when they get up to the top, there's a little hole. They drop the seed onto these belt flaps, and then that basically goes around and drops each one in the trench. So I'm gonna try not to get too long-winded here, but still try to do a good job explaining this. The other thing we had, our old planter did not have a monitor. This one does. And basically there's a plastic seed tube here that goes down. There's just a little eye in there, and your wire comes up here. These wires, they get in the wrong spot, they can get pinched. Another thing, the guy we bought the planter from told us maybe have a little brush with. Sometimes that eye will get covered with dust or dirt, and you just have to clean it off a little. But we haven't had too much trouble with that. The monitor actually wasn't working last year, but I found that was a loose wire on the tractor, so I think I got that figured out. Otherwise, this part of it, a friend of mine, he has a 6-row. The only thing I think really different is how the planter itself lifts. I think all this is the same. He had issues with these. These are your depth control. You can change that here. It's just got holes and it's spring loaded. You can move that back. How deep it puts your seed. There's bushings in here, and he had trouble. Those bushings had worn out. And I don't exactly know what it did, but he said this wheel would flip and it would start dragging. And they make an updated bushing for this. And I think he bought new arms, new wheels, and everything, because I did get a couple of the arms and wheels, his old ones, to put on here, because I had these bearings go out. Because this part was fine, but this had gone out, and he replaced it all. Now, I don't know if you have to, because it was pretty expensive to do that, but he was getting the whole piece. But you may be able to just get the updated bushing, I'm not sure. And then these are just your seed firming wheels. I replaced one of them. I actually got one in the shed too. I think you can put a bearing in them, but I had just picked up a wheel because the wheel had actually come right off, so I didn't even have the wheel. There was just a roll pin in here, and it popped in. Like I said, it's been a really good planter. I didn't really have any experience with the 7000 series, but the fertilizer, like I said, that's just a cross auger that goes through. Then you've got just chain drive from each wheel to a cross shaft. And then to change, well, the fertilizer setting is the same as this. There's a chart here, and then in the book it'll have a chart. But basically, to change your speeds, you just loosen this and turn, and you can slide these sprockets side to side to get your population, whatever you want. But I can't really complain about it. It's been a good planter. The only issue, aside from a bearing here or there, that's just going to be common because they're running in the dust and dirt. But the only issue we had when we first got it, we put it on our little John Deere, that little 820 utility. And that's the first tractor we put on it. And it handled it well, but it wasn't covering the seed. There was seed sitting above the ground all over. Well, what we finally figured out what was going on was it was too low. The hitch was too low. So the back end, they weren't getting enough pressure on, and these were adjusted all the way tight, the closing wheels. So we put it on a taller tractor, and that eliminated that problem. But if you got a 6-row, you're going to be pulling it with a bigger tractor anyway. But yeah, the only thing, I guess, I don't know too much on the other planters. The only thing that I don't really like about it, not that it's a huge deal, but, and if you're using a GPS, you don't have to worry about it, but we still use the marker arms yet to tell where we are. And on this planter, like, so you set it down and say your right arm comes down and you're planting, and you've got to lift the planter up to go around an obstruction in the field. Well, when you set that planter back down, it automatically switches to the other arm. So you got to set it down, raise it up, and then set it down again to get back to this side, because every time you raise and lower it, it alternates arms. On our old planter, well, I think originally it was set up so when you would turn on your end row, it would change it. We just had it so we pulled the rope when we got to the end. But if you raised and lowered it in the field at all, that same side stayed up, you know, stayed down until you switch the rope manually. So that's the only thing I don't really like about it. Not that it's a huge deal, but it can be a little time consuming. Here we've got power poles and rock piles here or there, stuff like that. But anyway, so that's just try to keep that kind of quick. Probably got a little long-winded, but like I said, it's simple, easy to take them apart, seem fairly reasonable for parts price to replace. And I guess if there's any other questions you'd like to know, feel free to ask. I'm not an expert on them by any means, but it's been a good planter for us. So anyway, I'm going to put this box back on and we'll move on to the next project. All right, I got the seed box stuck back on there. I got the carburetor back for that 560 yesterday. So we're going to go stick that on. My brother Paul should be coming back here. He's just about done with work, I think. See if we can get that on there and get that fired up. Pretty excited to get that on there. Check out, I sent it out to Brian out at Muffler Delete 101. Check that channel out on YouTube. It's got a great channel. He went through that carb, totally went through it, rebuilt it all for us. He's got a bunch of videos on that. So check him out, subscribe. He's got some great content. He's always got something. Tractors, distributors, carburetors, magnetos, chainsaws, vehicles. He's working on something. And he does nice work. And go ahead and subscribe to his channel. He's got a little giveaway going on. When he hits 1,000 subscribers, that's what he's trying to get to. He's going to pick one of them and he's going to give away a chainsaw. Or if you don't want the chainsaw, I believe he's giving away $100. So you can take your pick there. But anyway, so I'm going to go back, head back to the garage here now. Grab that carb and we're going to go ahead and stick that on. And once Paul gets back here, we'll fire it up. We're over here at the 560 now. I got the carburetor here that Brian got all tuned up for us. I got the old parts here, but if you check out his videos, when he's putting it back together, he goes through some of the old parts on there. And that throttle, the shaft itself was worn bad, even not just the bushings were shot. So this carb had a lot of time on it. Somebody had been in there once and done a little work to it, but I don't think they replaced what probably needed to be replaced the most. So anyway, I've got the flange here. I got the old gasket all scraped off of that. So I guess we're going to bolt this on and we'll get started here. This I'll show you here where the throttle hooks up. This was the bushing that was worn. And it didn't come in a kit, and it wasn't even in there before, but I put a roll pin in here. There was a hole in the casting here, but there was no roll pin in there. And I guess Brian said he didn't even pay too much attention to it. He noticed there wasn't one in there, but he said some applications had like a bracket or something that would bolt here for your throttle stop. So anyway, I did some looking in the book and stuff, and it did say on this one that there's supposed to be a pin. So I don't know what it's supposed to have, but I just got a roll pin that fit nice in there, and we tapped it in. And so it's got something, then you can adjust the throttle off, and then when you open it up, it's got to stop on the other side then. So that was just, like I said, one of them things. I don't know, it wasn't in there before because there was the hole was kind of painted over. So and I don't know if this carburetor is original to this tractor or not either. It's maybe at some time been replaced, because you know we haven't had this tractor for more than a few years. So so that's hard to say too, what that carburetor could have came off of something else. But anyway, we got her tapped in there now, so I think that'll work good. So we'll get the gasket out here. Yeah, this kit that he picked up and put in here, that thing had just about everything, new bolts and everything. So that was a good kit. And I really thank him for doing that too. That really nice of him to help us out there. I'm gonna pull this. I had this old chunk of rag over here just to keep dirt from blowing up in there. Probably put that right on here right away. Alright, that's on. Now the gas here. I am going to put a little bit of Teflon tape on these threads. I don't know if it would need to be, because it's kind of a ferrule fitting on there, or flange, but what the heck, it's not going to hurt.
Dad, I can get my truck.
Okay, you get your truck.
It's right here, Dad. This place here, it's got water on it.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Dad, what are you doing? Dad,
Huh?
I got a truck here, going to Popeyes, and then that's John Deere and that car, they want to see chipmunk.
Oh yeah.
I got it, John Deere. Hey, where? Done. I'm wood ball. Still working on it. Looks nice.
Yeah, it does.
Did he wash it? Did he wash or paint it?
He just washed it off. Can you go get that 1/2-inch wrench off the milk cart?
1/2 inch.
Yep, the one you were playing with this morning.
The one that had the 1-2?
Yeah, the 1-2 wrench. That kit came with a new piece for the end of the choke cable here too, but I don't think I need it. This one looks, it's in pretty good shape, so I guess I'll just keep that on the shelf for if I do need one. But all right.
Dad, when is Sarah gonna be here? Sarah.
You want to go put that back on the blue? Just put it on the blue table in the garage.
Okay.
All right, I got the choke cable on. I just got to put a little cotter pin through there. And then I think what I'll probably do before I hook this up, maybe I'm going to have to pull that further on. Oh, there it came. I think maybe I'll get the idle set. I don't know that it matters, but
I want my job, baby. I want my job, Dad.
all right, well, we'll get a couple cotter pins in there, and that in the choke, and then we can, once my brother gets here, we'll fire it up and set the idle and see how she runs. All right, here we go. We're gonna try her out. I'm going to do a little bit of adjusting there, but boy, it sounds good.
This thing, Brian, but I think we're gonna get banned from the pole after this year.